Welcome to a Wednesday night edition of the Solution Breakdown. My name is Mark Baker. I'm joined here by Eagles insider. Well, definitely knows a lot of insiders to the Eagles. Matthew Sherman.
Yeah, don't quote me there. I'm not trying to get fined.
That's right. Yeah. Great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we're going to be talking about, it's be talking about a little bit about the Rams, Seahawks, Patriots, Broncos, whatever you want to call it, the JV game. We'll get, a couple of, now we're down to 3 head coaching vacancies. Again, we're going to have to talk about Eagles. Before we do that, make sure you hit like, subscribe to the Hardcore Sports Network, hit the button below. We got a lot of great shows on this network. Feel free, hit that button below and subscribe to the Hardcore Sports Network. All right. I wanted to talk about Rams Seahawks. First impression, and I 2 things I don't want to be is I don't want to be that guy that overhypes the sensation of something. And 2, I also don't want to be the guy that judges a team's performance based off of one play or one decision. Because I think in both games, there is one decision that both Seans in both games are getting scrutinized for. But I will say this, is that, Stafford early in the year was playing pretty much like, it was almost like he was coming to the facility constipated. It looked like, it's like his back barely was holding up. And now towards the end of the year, he might win MVP.
Oh, he'll definitely win MVP.
Yeah. And I felt a sense of that, is 21-17, that muff kick, that was practically like a 15-point swing. Because now you go down 11. If you don't muff that punt, you go down and score. You're up 4. That put a lot of pressure on the Rams. And I'm not here to just over just criticize one play, but it is a highlight of kind of how the Rams season has went, right? They let go of their kicker, and they got the thicker kicker. They fired their special teams coach. It's not like they didn't try with special teams. I look at it as like, if you're McVay, right? When you have Stafford playing at that level, and
right with the probably the best wide receiver in the NFL too.
Right. And like now you're at a point, it's like, would you say it's like this was probably the widest open Super Bowl window that they've had? Even when they won the Super Bowl, yeah, it was more of like, it definitely, like, even after the Eagles lost last year before the Rams, it was like they are definitely the favorite. And I look at this moment of like, man, like, I don't know if this Super Bowl window is going to be that wide open.
You don't know how much longer Stafford's going to play too. Like what was it? He was still with a back injury for most of the season. Like, it's just, yeah, this was probably their best chance. And as we talked about this before, like, this NFC playoffs was just wide open, right? There's just no team out there that was the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, because we'll get to this down the road. It's like, we don't know. I imagine Howie, Jeffrey Lurie, they're gonna look to retool. I don't imagine that what we saw even from the Eagles last year is we're gonna see. San Francisco, I just, great coaching job, but they just couldn't really hang on with just injury. So you got to imagine that, like, the NFC is going to get better, even inside of their division. That's even like Seattle's not going anywhere, unless Darnold gets hurt. I don't know. Like, the reality is, like, it wasn't, the Rams are an aggressive organization. They went after Emmanuel Forbes. They tried to get that secondary like taped up a little bit, and it just still wasn't enough. I mean, I
Yeah, I
that's
mean and the other thing too, like so in big games, right? It's been said that McVay struggles with timeouts too. So like not having your 3 timeouts inside 5 minutes, I mean that's crucial, right? The fact that you went under 2 minutes with 0 timeouts, and trust me, I lived through the Andy Reid days when he coached here in Philly. We understand that if Andy saved the timeout here or there, it could be a little bit different, but that's just crucial. Like if you don't have those timeouts, especially under 2 minutes to go, or especially like 3 minutes to go in a game, that really makes it or break it because now you're forcing a third of the sidelines, right? You're forcing that third of Puka who slides right before getting out, which kills the game essentially. And it's just like he's always has had this issue with timeouts and when the games matter the most, which has just always been interesting for him to look at.
well, I mean, you remember, and yeah, Andy Reid
Yeah,
had that problem. I always look back
always.
to, I always look back to in 2006 where we went down to the Superdome to play New Orleans, and on a 3rd and 8,
Yeah,
couldn't Jeff Garcia couldn't get the ball to Hank Basket, and then they punted. I just remember I was 11 years old at the time. I was like, what are you doing? And I think some of these guys like Andy Reid and Sean McVay, it's like there is a little bit of like, which I think comes down to at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I know that Sean McVay, he's going to let Matt Stafford rip. Uh,
yeah,
you could just sense that throughout down the stretch of that game, there's just not necessarily a trust across the board. I always look at like, sometimes it's a learning opportunity, but I mean, some of it is like, you'd think that McVay would be smart enough, wouldn't you think that?
yeah.
I just that just seems a little bit like he doesn't trust the organization, doesn't trust the defense, doesn't trust the team as a whole. Because I mean, like the reality is, like you probably played. I mean, in terms of the first half, you in the first half, I mean, that was probably as good as you could have played. I mean, you
Yeah.
take that like that last drive before the first half, that's probably as good as it could have gotten for the Rams. I mean, to not be in a position, I mean, that is disconcerting. And then when you really are frustrated internally, I mean, what do? You start pressing, you start making decisions that are like, a little bit questionable.
Yeah, I mean, like, but the other thing too is how do you guard JSN? Right,
Yeah.
you need an elite cornerback to guard JSN, and we get to the Super Bowl, right? Christian Gonzalez and JSN. That's going to be a super fun matchup to watch. But uh, like the Rams just don't have the secondary to hang with wide receivers like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't. And the reality is, it's like you've got to face them twice a year, uh,
yeah,
2 times a year. I mean, that's I, I just I don't like this is probably the best that it got for the Rams. Um, but listen, I won't I don't fault, and I'll say this for the Denver game. I don't fault going for it. I don't fault going for it 4th and 4. Yeah, it's down. You know, I mean, Seattle's a loud stadium to begin with, but of
hmm
course, down in the end zone, it's even louder. I don't fault that decision. I think you like everything we learned in the past 8 years is you can't play to just not lose. Like the fans aren't sitting there in the stands being like, take the points. Because the reality is with going for it is that it's not like, oh, you got the ball back right away, so you could have kicked a field goal. It's like, you know, if you it's one of those like I don't mind the call because if you kick the field goal and you don't really get the ball back until 25 seconds anyways, the
hmm
criticism is, oh well, you should have went for it. You should have went for it and try to take the lead. You hear this, don't lose the game. It's kind of like when Jacksonville played New England in that AFC championship. They're playing not to lose. And I don't
Well,
blame the
Brady
call.
Brady did fumble in that game.
Well, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean like it's also conditions too, right? Like when we get to the AFC game, I think Denver should have kicked the field goal because you knew the snow was coming. but the conditions weren't bad in Seattle.
Yeah, I, they weren't bad.
No,
I like I
it wasn't cold. It was, I think it was like 40 degrees, which is like perfect for football.
right. I mean, I like the call. I like the call. Um, I will say this. I have been I've been a Sam Darnold doubter. I really have been a doubter, and I've been wrong time and time again with this guy.
Yeah, you and everybody else.
Yeah, believe me, because ultimately I had thought, listen, Kevin O'Connell, like this guy has been in the locker room for an entire year. They had an entire year of a sample size with this guy, and they had thought maybe let's go to JJ McCarthy. I had thought, okay, with what Kevin O'Connell has done with a Kirk Cousins, what he even did with Darnold. It's like I trusted that, hey, these guys probably know a little bit more than than probably most of us. I trust that decision. I, I wouldn't want to be a Minnesota Vikings fan. I'll tell you that much.
No, no. I mean, they're going through hell right now. That's for sure. Because I mean, it's also like when your star wide receiver just has a down year too. That's not going to help your offense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just I've been a. I mean, honestly, that was. I mean, you got to understand. Chardonnay, he's done for the year. Seattle's offensive line, if they have a weakness, that's probably their weakness is offensive line.
yeah. But they're so creative though, right? They're so creative in the pass game that if you can get those quick passes out, right, it doesn't matter how good your offense or how bad your offensive line is.
Yeah,
And plus, you still have Kenneth Walker, right? Like I remember watching him at Michigan State, didn't think the kid was special, right? Being a Penn Stater, but seeing him this year, like yeah, he's a wrecking ball.
yeah, and I mean, yeah, he's got that like that just that he can go from zero to
Yeah.
60 in like a snap of a finger.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was impressed.
I mean, he's no Marshawn Lynch, but you put a couple of you had some pounds to him, and he could be a Marshawn Lynch Jr.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he's got
seriously,
the.
yeah,
I mean, he's got the same bull mentality.
right.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, I mean, he's definitely got that like that bell cow type
yeah,
of back in him. You don't really see that a whole lot, uh, but he definitely has that in him. I mean, I honestly I'm give him a year or two, and I think he'd be probably one of the best backs in the league.
yeah. We'll see. I don't see this offense in Seattle sticking together more than this year.
Yeah,
Just because I mean, like you have tape on Darnold after the season, so if you want to call it his sophomore year in Seattle, it's probably going to struggle a little bit.
yeah,
Uh, but you know what? That's for later. I just like, yeah. I mean, this Rams team, this is probably their best year to win it. Granted, they have those two guys on defense with Jared Verse and Byron Young, but outside of that, right? I don't know what their contract situation looks like, but it's going to be very chaotic still. And
yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're still paying Aaron Donald too, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's yeah. I mean, yeah.
let me
It's
check that.
it's it's rough. I'm more concerned about. It's not as if they didn't try to address things in season. They tried and they did their best. And I mean, listen, an organization like the Rams, they are well run. I mean, listen, like I'm watching that game and I'm watching, Cooper Cup. Cooper Cup can still play, and I think there's maybe, there's definitely a thought. It was like, are the Rams looking at this thinking like, man, we shouldn't let this guy go? And then the second thought in my head goes, I don't think they care. I don't think they care at all because they're not afraid to say like, hey, we know we can upgrade. And and the point that I'm trying to make is even if they do upgrade, I still don't think their window gets as open as it is now.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that West is going to be great because San Fran's getting everyone healthy, right? the fact that they managed to do this whole season without Ayuk. Granted, Ayuk
Yeah,
doesn't add a lot to that offense, but it still was a weapon. Uh,
yeah,
is pretty remarkable. In the fact that they played most of that season without Trent Williams, and their defense did well despite not having Fred Warner for most of it too. Like they'll be back. That's going to be a very fun division to watch next year.
oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah. Um, I want to get into the first matchup of Sunday. I want to get into uh New England 10, Denver 7. Uh Sean Payton got a lot of criticism for going for it 4th and 1. I remember I was sitting there watching that being like, I like this call because ultimately if you get it, you get it. It's well, I mean, you're only getting a first down inside your 20.
yeah. But the kicker too is you're playing a quarterback who's played 4 games, hasn't played a game since 2023.
Yeah.
Right? It's you're up 7-0. I think the score was at the time.
Yeah.
It just take the points because especially when you're playing with a backup quarterback who hasn't played in 3 seasons, or you
Yeah.
just get a comfortable lead at that point. Because his first drive looked great, and I was watching with my buddy and I was watching with Julie, and it was like as soon as Vrabel figures out how to stop Stidham, they'll be fine
Yeah.
because Vrabel has that defensive mind. So no, you should have 100% just kicked the field goal there, especially if you knew snow was coming, right? Because snow is fun to play in. Creates a very slippery field as we saw, and they missed 2 field goals where they were trying to score it, tie it up.
Yeah. I will say conversely though, like that's exactly why I did like the call because one, snow is coming, Vrabel's gonna figure you out if you can find a way to go up 14-0.
Yeah,
Reality is New England's touchdown was off of a turnover that was, I think some of it is that Stiddy is definitely not the athlete that Bo Nix is.
no,
I'm not a big fan of rolling him out of the pocket. I'm 100% like willing to do that with Bo Nix. He's got the mobility and he's got the
was
twitchiness to be able to
and
be able to to be able to have those
yeah,
designed runs.
and he also played all
I'm not
season.
feeling that.
Yeah, and Bo Nix played all season too.
Yeah.
Great. I think I was listening to New Heights last week, and I think Travis Kelce was talking about how the difference between catching your starting quarterback versus your backup quarterback differs too.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, that I mean that is true. I mean it is kind of a that is kind of it's a tall task to answer. You don't, it's one thing if Bo Nix went down in the third quarter, right? You probably have a quarter and a half to
yeah,
feel the guy out. I mean, it's we find out at the end of the game, oh, this
yeah,
guy's hurt, and we've got to go with Jared Stidham. I mean, it's like that is kind of like a whoa moment.
yeah. They should have just pulled Nick Foles out of retirement. He would have done well. He knows how to beat the
Yeah.
Patriots.
Well, yeah, for a second I was, that first drive, I was sitting there thinking like, man,
Yeah.
is this going to be kind of like a Nick Foles type of situation?
No, there's only one backup quarterback that knows how to play in the playoffs, and that's my quarterback.
That's right, Nick Foles. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
BDN.
Well, I know that I know you've been a critic of Drake May.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I I thought he played okay. I mean, the reality is like the only score they had they had a short field. I know the weather was a factor, but
Yeah,
they
so
just came out too cold.
going off that short field too, I would assume the NFL would look into this, right? Because after the refs discussed that it was a fumble, right? If they just played it out, it would have been a defensive touchdown anyway. So
Yeah.
I really think that they should have just called it a touchdown on the field instead of call the offense back out, run the 2 plays, and then they score. Like I get that you have to stop it, but there's no one around him. Right? I forget who picked up the ball, but there's just no one around him. So it should have just been like touchdown, and the Broncos get the ball back essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
I
I
mean, granted, and rules are rules, right? They called it
yeah.
dead because they didn't know if it was backwards, forwards, whatever. But just like it's just for purposes of speeding the or not necessarily speeding the game up, but just yeah.
Yeah, that was a little weird. Um, I mean, because it did clearly. I mean, I was a little bit surprised that I was a little bit surprised, honestly, that Denver didn't try to review didn't try to review it and just say, did he throw it
So
forward?
they couldn't because there was a flag,
There was
right?
oh
Because
really?
there
Okay,
was
yep,
because
yep,
remember it was I think it was originally called intentional grounding, right? Or there was a
yep,
flag
yep.
for grounding.
Okay.
But because there's a flag on the play, I'm pretty sure you can't review it.
Oh, right. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a weird play. Uh, yeah, I mean, didn't really have that big of an impact on the game because like that. Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, you know, I looked at and look at Drake May, and I look at kind of the path of the AFC. Um, you know, I remember kind of in the 90s, not really in the 90s, I wasn't really alive in the 90s, but you hear
you weren't.
the lore of like of the 90s. And I really don't want to be that guy to say, oh, that Seahawks Rams game was like Cowboys Niners, and this AFC championship was like the 94 Chargers against the Steelers.
Yeah.
But I just got the sense that
Well, that second half was what like punt, 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 punt,
yeah,
essentially. And yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you can blame the snow, but literally last year in Philly, right? I was at that game. You had a snow game here where both
right,
offenses just bought out, right? Stafford put up 330 some yards to the
right.
air. Barkley and Hurts ran for over 200 yards. Like you can work in the snow. Uh,
Yeah.
so it was very disappointing because like you don't get a lot of snow football games, and you finally get one, and it's like that's the product that we're seeing. No, granted, it's very hard to play in those conditions. I'm not going to take anything away from them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at I'm looking at in today's modern NFL. I mean, weather just is not a suitable excuse. I mean, we're not given the Miami Dolphins for losing in the cold. I mean,
Yeah,
we've seen it. We've seen it even with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in the day. It's like eventually they just had to come to Philly when it was 10 degrees out and
yeah.
shut down the vet.
Well, on top of that too, right? New England and Denver, they
Yeah,
both play in the snow. Like they're snow cities,
right.
right? I mean, you remember the Patriots Raiders game up in
Yep.
Foxborough, right? Yeah, that was all snow. Granted, that's how we got the tuck roll, but whatever.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
20 to 25 years later. Yeah. Still,
yeah.
wouldn't want to be a Raiders fan. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, God, well, yeah, we'll get to those coaches in a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know,
I,
but it's just yeah, it's just like I don't know. I'm not a Drake May hater per se, but I just think that it's funny that they're praising him. Uh, and then last year they said that Hurts was carried to the Super Bowl, but you look at the stats and the stats are very comparable. Actually, Jalen Hurts had better stats than Drake May. But I will give Drake May credit, right? Like he just beat the fifth defense, the first defense, and the second defense. Right? He's going to go up against a tough defense in two
yeah.
weeks. Like, I'll give him the credit because they're not. That's not easy to do, right? And
Well,
go ahead.
let me say this is that if I think he's done well. I mean, I was impressed of what he did last week against the Texans.
Yeah,
That was impressive.
that was impressive.
Uh,
No,
he made
granted, it
some.
helps. It helps to have short field though, right?
I
So it
mean,
helps
sure it does.
helps the
Yeah.
fact that CJ shot through like 25 picks last week.
Yep. Yeah. Uh, which is kind of the point that I was going to make, which is that like, look at the guys he's going up against. I mean, I'm a Justin Herbert guy. But the reality is you're going against a Greg Roman offense, which is like a prehistoric
Yeah,
1999 type of style of offense. Uh, a Texans offense, which I mean, that's a deeper conversation of what you do what you do if you're a
Yeah.
Texans insider with CJ Stroud. I mean, like you have enough tape. He's gone to the playoffs every year. That's a whole nother conversation.
Oh
And then
yeah.
you're going against the backup to Bo Nix. I mean, I give Drake May credit. Going against like obviously like the Chargers defense was awesome. That's Jesse Minter. They call
Mhm.
this guy like the Sean McVay of defense. I mean that's a little bit everyone wants to call the Sean McVay of things. Um, I had believed, and I think a lot of other people believe that Houston's defense was up to standard with like the 2014 the Seahawks, the
Yeah.
2015 Broncos, even the like they were talked about within the 2000 Ravens type of type
Oh
of
yeah.
type of talk.
I mean that defense was just so much fun to watch play.
Yeah.
Right, and granted, like the head coach, Philly ties and all, understands how to coach a good defense.
Yep. Yeah. And I give Bo Nick. I give Drake credit. I I I I I just don't know in terms of now. I don't doubt that Drake May like they have a shot against Seattle. I I sense that with the quarterback play that they have been up against, I think that they're in for a long day that in
Yeah.
next
Well,
Sunday.
I mean that defense hasn't seen like a really good offense this whole postseason run. If Bo Nix was in, different story, but we could play the what if games all
Sure.
day long too. I will say though that line in New England is fun to watch. Right, drafting Will Campbell, who I believe was the
Yep.
best tackle last year, like
Yep.
that was just a huge addition. And yeah, if you have a good line, you can hold the ball and your running backs are going. Right,
Yep.
it makes for just a great day.
That's going to be a fun matchup to watch. That Seattle defensive line going
Yeah.
up against that New England offensive line. I am going to be bold here. Um, I am going to be bold. I think that the when I saw the line was five and was when I saw I think the last line that I saw was 5.5.
I thought I
Um,
saw a drop.
it might have dropped. I mean, it seems like it's going to drop. I mean, I wouldn't surprise me if it dropped to like one to 1.5. Um,
That's 4.5 right now.
it's 4.5 now.
Yeah.
My this might not seem that bold, but I think in the modern Super Bowl era, it seems a little bit bold. I would take over. I
Mhm.
think I think New England's going to be in for a long day against Seattle, and I think that based off what we saw last year by an NFC team against an AFC team, I think we might see another blowout.
Yeah, I agree. I think because even if you start double teaming JSN, right, like Cooper Cup is still elite. Right?
Yep.
So you're gonna leave him 1-on-one with the corner, who just will beat up all day long. I agree. I don't. I'm trying to think the last decent offense that maybe the Patriots played might have been the Bills when the Bills came back to win,
Yep.
right, during the regular season. Outside of that, I don't really know. Like it's just the yeah, a high powered offense like that. And I think the Seahawks have the I think the Seahawks were one in scoring offense too. Uh, so it's just going to be very fun to watch.
Yeah. I it's one of those games, and you hear this all the time, right? Like it's the first team to score 17 will win. First to score 20.
Yeah,
I really think in this matchup in particular, if Seattle scores, New England has a shot. If Seattle scores anything under 28, and that seems rather high, but if you're in New England, you want nothing to do with a shootout. And Seattle's got that like, you know, I thought Brady did a good job, has done a good job in the season. I think he said something about Seattle, which I kind of I can see. He was like they're less surgical and more. I think he had used more explosive.
mhm,
Um, they're less surgical, and I agree with that. Like Seattle's
yeah,
got that like they're not really going to jab you all day, like they've got that like they really pack a punch. They've got like I mean you were mentioning Cooper Cup. I mean like the guy Shaheed, you know
Yeah.
that guy is electric. I mean they've got it. If it's not JSN, they've got Kenneth Walker. I mean AJ Barner has done a good job. And those secondary guys like man like what's that guy Jaware like that he's
Yeah.
like honestly like I mean he's been awesome.
I mean,
Um,
I like you can this secondary is, and I have to look at the stats for this and all, but the secondary is very on par with the Legion of Boom.
yeah,
Almost better ish. Just don't tell Richard Sherman I said that.
yeah, yeah. No, I won't. Yeah, and I mean, you know when you look at if you look at New England's weapons to be able to keep up with the punch that Seattle packs, I don't see it. At the end of the day, if you're New England, you ideally got to keep Seattle under 28 if you want to have a shot, because that secondary. I mean, your best receiver. I mean, I know Booty's done good, and Douglas has been fine. You know, Stephon Diggs is a veteran. He shows he clearly can still play. I
Yeah, well, he shouldn't be allowed to play in this game, but that's a different conversation.
well, yeah, that's a whole different conversation, right? Yeah. Um, I don't see this New England receiving core really.
Well,
I,
isn't Hunter Henry like their most targeted player too?
yeah,
Yeah, which if your tight end's your most targeted player, then yeah, it's a
I mean, this is, but again, I will say what I am hesitant. You know, I'm willing to go to pick the over. I am a little hesitant. I am a little hesitant because I know that Vrabel technically comes from the Belichick tree. Um, is like sort of seems like more of like a modern age of what we know the defensive coach to be.
yeah.
I just worry that does he have something up his sleeve? Because Sam Darnold did lead the league in turnovers. I know for like guys like me and everyone out there, there's something that they want to hold on to the Sam Darnold criticism is that he did lead the league in turnovers. I don't know if Vrabel has something in store for.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I very much am here for the irony of Darnold winning the Super Bowl, because can you imagine in that draft class rate with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield, that Sam Darnold would be the first to get a ring out of those guys?
Yeah, I was watching the herd the other day, and they're talking about how the 2018 class is now not the Josh Allen class is the Sam Darnold class. And I mean, it's wild when you think about it. You think that's the same draft class as like, obviously Josh Allen, Lamar, Baker, uh, and ironically Josh Rosen,
Who's MIA?
MIA, probably, wherever he's the finance director, whatever kind of
Yeah,
whatever. Um, and the reality is it's like Darnold's the only guy with the ring in that class. Uh,
yeah. I mean, well, because he just got a ring for the NFC Championship.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I say this with Darnold. I mean, one, this looks terrible for the New York Jets because this shows that it's entirely their ability to develop talent and
yeah.
not the talent itself. That is really bad for the New York Jets. And if I'm
Well,
if I'm
not
any
true, because if Darnold beats the Patriots, then the Jets look good, because the Jets brought him into this league.
uh, sure, yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
if you want
so. I guess
to.
in some,
But no, no,
right,
I get what you're saying. It's, I mean, the Jets are where you go to die. Like Aaron Rodgers gets injured, um, on the shitty field in MetLife, and
yep.
then has a decent year in Pittsburgh.
And you know what? Like that to me is you always I always want to give like a Cleveland who we'll get to in a few minutes. I always want to give them like okay, there is optimism, there is hope. Uh, the Rams as an organization before McVay came in, they were kind of a dumpster fire. I mean, like they've been kind of picking up the pieces from St. Louis, and he's revived that franchise. Uh, I want to give certain organizations the ability to say, okay, you get the right guy, you get a good coach, good quarterback. I mean, the Chargers have done this, uh, where they're willing to go out and pay Harbaugh, and they put him with Herbert, and
Well, I mean,
now even
Harbaugh also self-selected the Chargers too. Or like
yep,
Harbaugh wanted to work with Justin Herbert, so he self-selected the Chargers.
yep, yeah, but the point that I'm trying to make is that like I want to have a sense that like certain teams, even like the Jets, like the Titans, you know they'll be able to figure it out, and who knows, maybe they'll be a playoff team. I just like with this whole Darnold, with Darnold now looking like he's gonna probably win a Super Bowl. I mean, it shows with the Jets. It's that man, like it's not even the fact that it was sure. Maybe Sam was definitely a lot younger and definitely not as much of a seasoned passer that he is. He still has that reckless in him. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I just if you're a free agent or you're a guy coming out, I would want nothing to do with the Jets. I would want nothing to do with the New York Jets because ultimately it's that watch watch Aaron Rodgers go make the playoffs with the Steelers. Watch Sam Darnold go win a Super Bowl. Where were they before? Oh, the Jets. I just don't see anywhere in the next even
Well,
the next decade.
so. I think this is the third consecutive season where a player who was either on the Jets or Giants left, and the team they went to made the Super Bowl. Or you have Sam Darnold this year, Saquon Barkley last year, and I forget who the other guy was, but it's been like 3 straight seasons that a player leaves North New Jersey, not New York, North New Jersey, goes to a different team, and that team makes a Super Bowl.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
Giants I have hope for. I have hope for the Giants. Uh but I just think if for the Jets, it's more of like this now like really seeps into their business model because it's like, what hope do you have? Uh, you haven't had a franchise quarterback since the 70s. Uh, you have a coach that's seems like he's way over his skis.
hmm
You haven't got coach right, and you can't even blame the player because ultimately the only thing the Jets can really say is that Zach Wilson is bad. Well, I mean, listen, I think this is a little bit of an extreme position here, but it's like, and I'm not trying to say that Zach Wilson is as good as Sam Darnold, but you can argue that it's like, okay, if you put certain guys with the right coach, if you put them with a Sean Payton, you put someone with,
I mean,
uh,
even the 1 year that Ben Johnson's had with Caleb Williams, like that
yeah,
is, yeah. I mean, and even the year Liam Cohen's had
Trevor Lawrence, yeah,
with Trevor Lawrence, it's remarkable. But I mean, to get back to the game, right? It is very interesting because well, yeah, I mean, this game was very interesting. Right? It's will Sam Darnold get a ring, or will the Patriots be the franchise that have the most Super Bowls? Uh, yeah, I mean, you do have the fun stat that I always love that teams traveling west versus teams traveling east. The team travel east wins the Super Bowl. It's been true for the last 7 times it's happened. Right, so Seattle is traveling west and the Patriots are traveling east. Nope, flip
Patriots,
that. Patriots are traveling west. Seattle's
yeah,
traveling
right, yeah,
east.
yeah.
Yeah, the team that travels west has won the Super Bowl the last 7 years. So there's that one too, which is always a cool fact.
Yeah, that is an
Yeah.
interesting one.
Uh,
Um,
but no, I
yeah,
think I mean Vrabel has been in what like 4 Super Bowls with the Patriots. I
yeah.
think he understands the magnitude. Uh, and yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing Milton Williams ball out next week.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I it sucked that he left Philly. It's a business. Uh, yeah.
But he's definitely been a good staple
Oh yeah.
for their defensive line.
Oh, hands down. I mean, he's just if you just watch him play, he just plays that position so smoothly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even New England in terms of their personnel in general, it was even said that, it was argued that they might be one draft class away. So I think regardless, they've been able to squeeze everything
Yeah.
out of I think regardless of whether regardless of the outcome of this game, I still think this is a very impressive because
Oh, yeah.
there were predictions that they would make the playoffs, I mean, I bought it because ultimately, I knew the track record of Mike Vrabel, and there were, it's similar to Josh Allen's rookie year, was a little wild, but it was like you could see something. And the last year, I felt like I could see something with Drake May.
Well, I was watching on Twitter, there was a ball Drake May threw where he led the receiver. It must have been like 2 or 3 yards. And it's like that's a ball that you've seen Brady throw 1,000 times. And you
Yeah.
just see it's just like a perfect throw, just leading the receiver. It was like into double coverage or whatever, but I was like, that is exactly what Brady was doing.
Right. Right. And, I don't know if he's to the ability of Brady. I mean, who knows? What maybe we'll
Yeah.
find out. But like, he's definitely fits that. And like, he's a big, stockier guy, uh, and not afraid to put his head down. He's definitely built as Tom definitely was the kind of a California type of guy. Ironically, he threw the ball well in the cold, but
Hmm.
Drake May seems like he really fits the identity of New England, kind of a
Yeah.
thicker white guy. Uh, it seems like he really fits that like New England type of mold.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, because I mean the quarterback before Brady was not Bledsoe, was it?
Bledsoe, yeah,
Yeah. I mean Bledsoe is I want to call him a thick white guy, but
yeah, which is on brand. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. While you have your Eagles jersey on, I feel like we should address things. Um, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Eagles offensive coordinator search. Um, I had saw a report that they were out of the running of Brian Dayball, which you watch McDaniel get hired. Uh, Now Joe Brady's off the market. Uh, I don't think they were going for Joe Brady, but you got to understand it's like now the top candidates. I mean, I saw they were looking at the Packers quarterback coach. Um, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on what this
yeah.
coordinator search has meant, really, like why it's been delayed and what that really means.
I wouldn't call it delayed. Yeah, I think with the age of social media, there's a tendency to think that interviewing a candidate means that they're going to be offered the position. Right?
Sure.
I trust Howie. Uh, right, I mean, during the Chip Kelly years, right, Howie was sent to the back room of the front office, as we all know the story. And when Chip Kelly left and Howie Roseman emerged, he emerged with a vengeance. And he wants to build a championship roster, but I think what he's really looking for is, can we get a guy who can be here for multiple years to build up an offensive system?
Yep.
Because if you're looking at this, right, you get a guy like Shane Steichen coming in, does what he has to do, and then leaves. Then Brian Johnson takes over. He's horrible. You get the top guy on the market, Kellen Moore. He takes you to the Super Bowl, and then he leaves. And now, again, you promote within. Uh, which I mean, it's funny because Patullo was just the passing game coordinator last year. So I think what really should be happening is getting a guy who isn't a top head coaching candidate right now, who can stay for a couple of years because you want to try to build an identity. Right? I mean, when you think Eagles football, you think Eagles offense, you think running, right? You think hard nosed football,
Mhm.
but you also have some really good wide receivers, which in my opinion is probably the top three best duo in the NFL. No, I don't think we're going to trade AJ Brown. I think he's going to stay here for one more season, uh, and I think the right guy will make it work. Now, the concern is, yeah, I mean there are concerns, right? Obviously, I wish I worked as an Eagle insider for real because then I would know
Yeah.
what's happening. But I just think that the search is taking its time to try to see someone who can stay for a couple of seasons and not get a big name. Uh, but I mean, honestly, I don't know because you see alerts all the time, right? And then you have Shefty going on 94 or going on 97.5 today, uh, and basically like dropping the bomb that he's going to drop a story next week that's just more than the offensive coordinator. So you're like, great, what does this mean? Uh, but no, I mean, it's just, if there's anything that I learned, especially being a Penn State fan and going for that head coaching search, it's just patience, really, because I'm not worried yet, right? I would be worried if we didn't have an offensive coordinator going into the NFL draft. That's when the concerns would set in. I think there are guys out there, right? I think within the next week or so, we'll have an OC to kind of start building stuff. Um, but it's just a matter of who, right? And like as much as you would like Dable, right? Because Dable has that connection with Hurts when Hurts is at Alabama. That'd be cool to see. Uh, Mike McDaniels would have been cool, but he and Vic Fangio hate each other, so that would have never worked.
Yeah.
Uh, and Joe Brady has the ties to the Philadelphia area, but I don't think Joe Brady wants to come here anyway. So, we'll kind of just see what's going on. And I think whoever we get, right, I think they definitely want to try to be here for at least 2 seasons because you want that stability. You don't want to keep having to relearn a new system year in and year again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Matthew Sherman, because let me put you in the shoes of a candidate here. If you're if you're if you're in the running or a candidate to be the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, what would your concern about taking the job be? What is your I'm not really sure moment of is this really the right fit? I
Yeah.
want you to
So
answer that.
I think the biggest concern that I would have is that leadway with Jalen Hurts. Right. From just talking and hearing stories, I know that he can be an issue. Uh, so I think the biggest thing is being on the same page with Hurts because if you and your quarterback are on the same page, it makes it a lot easier to run the system. But like you see on the clip right against the Niners where Patil calls that play on 4th and 11 and Hurts is shaking his head. Like that's not what should be happening there. As
Yeah.
an offensive coordinator, your top priority is if you and the quarterback are on the same page, everything else works. Because if your quarterback buys into the system, then the wide receivers, the running backs, the tight ends will buy into the system. The offensive line will play a little more relaxed because it was very painful to watch an offensive line, especially an offensive line that's been dominant in the NFL for the last, 5, 6, whatever seasons. So it really just the concern is that will you be able to create a connection with the quarterback in such a way that the quarterback will be able to bring the locker room together to do your philosophy?
Do you think the Philadelphia Eagles as an organization and as the model of their team really sets up for a coordinator to be there for a couple of years? Because mind you, before you answer, I just want to say one thing, which is that out of the four coordinators that Jalen has worked with, two two have been fired and two have been become head coaches. That one you can say what you want about Shane Steichen. I the Indianapolis Colts as a business model has been a question since even when Andrew Luck was
Look,
around.
if Danny Dimes doesn't get injured, I think that team wins the AFC South.
Yep,
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think Steichen's done a decent job. I
yeah.
understand it's a weaker division, but the Colts as an organization that has been a question for a while. Now, I will
And
say
I'll
this about
I'll be honest. The
yeah,
Saints next year, the Saints won't win the NFC South, but they'll be very close to being a wildcard team. Just
yep,
because if you look towards those last 4 games, right, you just had Tyler Shook play like lights out, and
yep,
that's Kellen Moore, right? Because he
yep,
takes the time to understand it, and he had players buying in. Like that team if Kellen keeps doing that stuff, yeah, I mean he's a smart guy, right? I mean you saw what he did with Dak Prescott and those passing yards.
Yep.
Yeah, he gets the best out of his players.
That's exactly. I mean, you read my mind. To take that, I think that before the year, and this was when the Arch Manning hype was at its best, right? It was,
Yeah,
the Saints were going to have the number one pick, and Archie Manning's grandson will be picked by the Saints number one overall. Well, the Saints, I had believed. I mean, listen, I was a bit of a believer. Okay, the Saints will win two games this year.
yeah.
Uh, like who big question mark at quarterback. I mean, the fact that they got to 7-10,
Yeah.
I think is absolutely like that is
Well,
a great.
the fact that their game against the Falcons directly affected the Saints and Bucks is even, or the Bucks and Panthers is even funnier.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I watched. I remember, sitting down. I was watching Tyler Shuck back in December. I was sitting there thinking. I was like, I think the Saints are one of those.
Yeah.
Are one of those teams that probably, because there seems like there's always four teams that will flip the number of wins. We might even see four new playoff teams. I mean, we seem like we do
Mhm.
always see four new playoff teams. I think the Saints are one of them.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have some draft stock this year. They have a lot of money to play with. So I'm sure that now Kellen has his feet wet down there. Right, like I have no hard feelings for Moore leaving. Right? I mean, one of the great things as a head coach should be that you want your assistants to get promoted. Right, you want your assistants to become offensive defensive coordinators. You want them to get head coaches because it looks great for you. Right, like if you look at some of these players, like the Andy Reid head coaching tree is incredible because a lot of his coaches have gone on to either do well or to even win Super Bowls too. And now, Sirianni's head coaching tree is starting to take shape, per se. Uh, if you want to
Would
call Sirianni having a coaching tree, which I wouldn't yet, but
Sure, yeah. I mean, I guess technically it is his coaching tree.
yeah.
Uh, and my question for you now is that, like, do you think this job is kind of like a Russian roulette in terms of, like, it either makes your career or breaks your career? Now, if I'm trying to get an OC job, I'm a quarterbacks coach. I look at the Eagles job. I'm like, this could I'm either run out of town with my suitcase half open, or I'm the head guy somewhere.
Yeah. I mean,
I
look, it's
wonder how much
you're
that
you're
plays.
not taking a coaching job in the city if you don't have thick skin.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, the Philadelphia sports media is some of the worst people, right?
yeah.
Because they'll they'll bash, right? And then even the fans, like we're right. I remember I was at the Eagles Bears game with my dad, and it was just like, why would we want to pay to see this field? Right? Philadelphia is a very blue collar city, right? And those tickets are not cheap. So it's like you need thick skin to be a coach. And that's the thing is like if you don't have thick skin, you're gonna fail. But if you can stand on your 2 feet and tell us what's up, then you know we'll still make fun of you. But like,
Sure, yeah.
yeah, yeah, like we thought Sirianni was a weirdo when he gave his sunflower speech in 2021.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, I
yeah,
remember that.
which I don't know the record, but ever since that sunflower speech, I think his winning percentage is like 700, which is absolutely insane.
I saw that his winning percentage is, yeah, it's over 700.
Yeah. But no, so like we'll see. I think I don't know. It's such a whatever topic, and everyone thinks they know the answers. But I trust Howie. Right? I mean, he has built a championship roster. He's done it through the draft. He's done it through trading. He's done it through these contract negotiations that are gonna come back to bite us in the ass soon.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Lastly, I did want to talk a little bit about this. Um, and the Bills decided to go internal and hire Joe Brady. I
Shock.
I I don't mind the move, but I do see a concern that's a lot similar to our friends in Cincinnati here, is
Mhm.
that often it seemed like a move of like, hey, we're not going to let this guy leave the building and maybe go to the Raiders, partially because one, it seems like he does have a bit of a symbiotic relationship with Josh Allen, and the reality is for the Bills is that seems like, I mean, obviously, after that Denver game, you're not going to pick Sean McDermott over Josh Allen, but it
Yeah.
definitely seems like this Joe Brady pick is more of like, hey, we want our quarterback to be as happy as possible, which can be a bit of a problem because, like, the reality is we saw with Cincinnati, Joe Burrow got hurt. Well, what happened with Joe Burrow getting hurt? Well,
Yeah.
the defense is pretty crappy. This isn't like a Saints when Drew Brees went down and Teddy Two Gloves had to take over and they were able to like be
Yeah.
stable. This was Joe Burrow goes down, boom, there goes the season. And I
Literally.
think that's the pressure with hiring a guy like Joe Brady is that if Josh Allen goes down, because the reality is like the offense, I mean, yeah, the receivers were a bit of the problem, but the reality is that you know what's going to happen with the run defense? I mean,
Yeah.
Ed Oliver is pretty good, but like when you look at a
I
team like
I
Philly,
truly think that Josh Allen needs to leave Buffalo if he wants to win a ring.
yeah,
I just don't see him winning a ring in Buffalo. And I think hiring Joe Brady as the head coach is it's a very safe play. That if
yeah,
if I'm a Buffalo fan, I'm not happy about it.
I
No, it
think
is it is
yeah,
it is funny. I just see someone say that they should hire Sean McDermott as a defensive coordinator, which that would work. That would work. I mean, look, Sean McDermott was the DC in Philly before he took the head coaching job in Buffalo,
yep,
right? And Sean McDermott learned how to coach defense from Jimmy Johnson, who I arguably
yeah,
think is one of the best defensive minds to ever coach the game.
yeah.
Um, so I mean, as funny as it is, it's not far fetched, and I think that would be absolutely hilarious to see.
Uh, yeah. I mean, listen, I I think you can think two things at once, which is that I like Joe Brady. I would have liked to just keep him as my OC because ultimately it's like Sean McDermott. I felt like he had done a good job. I think my other issue is that how the hell does the GM survive? If you look at Buffalo's like talent, their roster, it's that I mean, geez. I mean, Josh is almost pulling this game out with Brandon Cooks. I mean, like, besides Ed Oliver, it's like when you look at the Eagles defense, I look at a defense that is filled with guys that are like I can point at every guy on the side of the defense within the secondary and the front seven to be like, that was an A+ pick. That was an A+ pick. With Buffalo, it's like, yeah, yeah, Taron Johnson's pretty good.
Yeah,
Or, Jordan Poyer, yeah, he's pretty good. Ed Oliver's pretty good. When I look at like Jordan Davis and I look at Jalen Carter, I look at Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, I'm like, those guys, those guys are A picks. I just don't
yeah.
really see that with Buffalo.
I think it also comes down to coaching too, right? I mean, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from McDermott because it's a well coached team. But like with Vic Fangio as the DC down here in Philly, right, he just has the guys buying in, uh, and it's a culture thing,
Mm,
right? I mean, because when you're in Buffalo, like their whole offense was Josh Allen and James Cook.
yep.
And right, when the Eagles played the Bills, the Eagles were able to keep James Cook to under 50 yards, forcing
Yep.
Allen to throw the ball and to use his legs. Now, granted, they should have kicked the extra point going overtime. They would have beat us. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting having an offensive mind in Buffalo. But I think the other thing too is the NFL is very now an offensive league, which I love defense. Hence why every single jersey I own is a defensive player. Um,
Yep.
yeah,
Well, I saw a statistic. I mean, I remember in 2011, it seemed there was, I believe 6 guys that threw for over 5,000 yards. Um, and now I don't know who was the leader this year, but there was no one sniffing close to 5,000 yards.
No,
Uh,
I think it was Stafford with like maybe 3,200 or something like that.
wow, yeah.
Or don't quote me on that. I'm going to look that up.
I mean that is wild. I mean, like I look at. I mean, another, I guess another comment, just what the Denver New England game brought to the NFL in general. It's been a long time since I've seen a 10-7 game. It was a
Sorry,
defensive
Stafford had
slugfest.
4,700. So cool.
4,700.
Yeah, Stafford had
That's,
4,700.
and that's with an additional game, Matt.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah, that's with
that's
17.
wild.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
you know,
I think what's also wild too is Mike McCarthy going to the Steelers.
oh yeah,
I
yeah.
do I texted all my Steeler friends and all of them are just like, what the hell?
Eh, Listen,
You're
it's
going
on
from a
brand for
9-8 coach to a 9-8 coach.
them. Yeah, I mean it is totally on brand for them.
Yeah.
Um, you know what? Sometimes you can even Cincinnati has gone through something like this, which is that you can try to pressure them to do something that's against their nature every once in a while, and you'll do it. But eventually, they're just going to go back to what they've always been, and the Steelers are just no different than that.
Yeah. I agree. It's just and then obviously you have Rodgers coming back for a season there. But yeah, I mean, it will be very interesting to see who the Raiders end up with,
Yeah,
which
um, I am
I,
interested to see that.
I really thought the Raiders should have just stuck with Antonio Pierce. Right? I think when he was the interim head coach, he did a fine job there, and he should have just stayed there. But you know, go through, go ahead and go get your fifth coach in like what 7 years.
I know you're not hot on Mendoza, but if they can get a guy that can really work with Mendoza, the problem with the Raiders is that I to a degree, I do see what you're saying with Antonio Pierce. Like I do think that let's say if he was, I would say this is that if D'Amico Ryans was coaching the Raiders, I think it would be the same outcome as Antonio Pierce. I think it's just tough when you're playing when you have Justin Herbert, Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes, and now with any Sean Payton team in the same
Yep.
division. I just think it's hard to climb out of that. I don't think it's necessarily a coaching thing.
I mean,
It's just tough to climb out of it.
they'll have a chance to climb because the Chiefs are going to be without Mahomes until at least November.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think yeah, I agree. I think that this is probably their best chance to kind of climb out of it. I know you've had criticism of Mendoza, but hey, they'll get the number
You
one
know,
pick.
yeah. I mean, look, he had a good season. Okay, yeah, sure. He won the national championship. He won the Heisman. I think the Heisman Trophy is very. The Heisman Trophy just doesn't mean anything anymore.
Sure,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. Sure. Go to Oakland. Uh, yeah. I mean,
Do you
look,
think he's
I have nothing against the guy, right?
yeah.
But I just think that you're a fifth year quarterback in college football. You're yeah. I think he had a very good offensive line at Indiana this year, and I
Yep.
think the offensive
Yep.
line in not Oakland, in Vegas, is not good, and it makes a difference.
Yep.
Makes a
Do you
huge difference.
now do you like let's even throw the 2018 draft class. Where do you think? I mean, obviously now in today's climate, Cam Ward was number one, and I didn't really see him as a number one prospect. I just thought with what was available, like the
Yeah. Well,
product that was available. Where do
there's
you see Mendoza realistically?
what if realistically, I mean, I I don't know. I honestly think that there's no quarterback coming out of this year's draft that should be taken in the first round. right?
Yeah.
If you just look across the board, right, college football quarterbacks, the production has declined,
Yep.
and it's been very spotty. I also think that a quarterback being taken in the first round, they get so much pressure put onto them for them to excel, because odds are, if you're taken in the first round, right, you're starting on that team, and a lot of these teams have a lot of help that they need, right? Like you take Sam Darnold and the Jets, that Jets O line was horrible. I think Darnold was sacked what, like almost 40 some odd times that year, maybe
Yeah.
30, I forget.
Yep.
But like if you're a rookie quarterback taken in the first round and your line is horrible and you're just getting beat up, right? It puts a really sour taste into your mouth. Uh, but no, you look at this quarterback draft, and we're talking about the same quarterback draft where they were saying Drew Aller was going to be the number one pick. Like they were saying Arch Manning was going to be that guy too.
Yep.
And then the college season happens. Like there's just not a good quarterback, and we're just going to see this like year in and year out, because why would a quarterback in college want to leave when some of these guys are making more money in 1 year than they are their rookie year?
Yeah.
Like why not stay in for 4 years and mature? Uh, but no, I don't know. I just don't see any of these quarterbacks being that. And look, I hope I'm wrong, but I just can't really see any of these guys taking that impact that they should. I mean, look, this is a great draft for wideouts, running backs, linemen, both offense and defense. Like just phenomenal draft for some of these guys. But in terms of quarterbacks, I don't know. None of these are like, yes, first round, first day guys, right? Because like for instance, Joe Burrow, his senior season at LSU, like it was ridiculous, enough to propel him to that number one pick, and then he's done well in Cincinnati for the most part. But Mendoza had an okay year at Cal last year, comes into Indiana, has a decent year because you're playing with a bunch of fifth and sixth year guys. But if you stick him behind an offensive line that isn't effective, he's not going to be good.
Yeah.
And you're setting him up for failure.
Yeah. I think, it's also something to be said. It's that, yeah, I mean, you're getting paid a lot of money, and also the competition that you're playing almost matches to some degree does match the level of what you'll see in the NFL level. I mean, you see some of these matchups, you got Texas and Texas, Alabama, Texas, Georgia. I mean, that's it's become college football in a lot of ways has become pro football.
Yeah.
There used to be an element in college football that going from college to the pros, it was the prove it. Now it's kind of like you're already at that level, and at the college
you're
level.
still, you're still at that college level, right? You still have some developmental stuff to go in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because some of these players have never seen a 6'6", 300-pound D tackle coming full speed at them.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Like you can't coach that. But no, I agree. It's very much becoming like the semi-pro level.
Yeah. But all right. Listen, we'll get out of here with that. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll be back next week. Hey, feel free if you got some time, watch the Pro Bowl if you're really that bored. But
Yeah,
Matt,
watch Shedeur Sanders.
that's right. Yeah, Matt, thank you for coming on. I
Thanks for
hope to
having
have you
me.
back. And again, like and subscribe to Hardcore Sports Network. Have a great evening. Thank
Over.
you.